Oh, y'all. Hi, it is Tease. Good day. I hope all are well. Hope all are safe. I would like to say really quickly, because it is random, but it's also very interesting. So, I guess there's a story of two African women in two different cases. So the first one that what a lady reported to her social media. She said, well, there's some guy that passed out cold after learning that his wife was the landlord the whole time. You know, think like what? So then when she explained the story, I guess the husband was pretty much telling the wife, I'm looking for a side chick, someone who can hold a conversation or someone who's a little bit more interesting. So I guess he pretty much either alerted the wife to let her know, all right, I'm going to have a girlfriend on the side or I'm going to leave you for someone else. So the wife, in response, pretty much said, okay, well, that'd be dumb of you to do that if you've been paying me for 15 years. He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm your landlord. So I guess somewhere in Africa, there was a man that's been paying his wife the whole time. I guess he'll send her off with the money. Okay, go pay rent, dear. So I guess he'd been paying her $3,500 a month. And instead of her going off to pay rent, I guess she should put it in the pocket. Not as if she's stealing it, but the whole time she was the owner, he just didn't know it. The second case, and also too, mind you, after learning this, he passed out cold too. So the neighbors had to drench him back to life. So throw a bunch of buckets of water on him. So by the time he got scooped up, he was soggy. Yeah, so he passed out in disbelief. Yeah, so the neighbors had to pump him back to life. And there was another case too of a guy. I believe he was somewhere else in Africa. So I don't know. Maybe one happened in Kenya. The other one maybe I forgot where the other side was. But another case too of a guy who's been paying his wife this whole time. And all these have been like 15, 20 years. At least 15, 20 years you've been paying this woman and you didn't know. So I guess the second guy, I guess he learned through his taxes. Somehow he learned. He was like, well, that name looks familiar as far as who's the owner of this, when it comes to rent. And then, so I guess, I don't know, perhaps this particular rent or this particular tax is okay. Report rent and you're, the owner or the... So I don't know if he just didn't recognize the name or maybe he never met his landlord or perhaps he started off with someone and they switched around maybe. Maybe it became new owners. I don't know how neither of these men knew, but... A long story short, he didn't know, and he learned upon his taxi. Oh, that name looks familiar. So perhaps it wasn't his last name, but it was. There's only one Donna around here, But so he learned too, and I guess he was like, wow, in disbelief. And then one part of me is like, oh, that's interesting because is that a finesse or is that a or is that some type of game? Like okay, that's a good move, but I'm like, that's deceptive. There's so many. Because some people like to be low-key, because that's kind of literally how I am. Like I say, if I'm an owner, you wouldn't know that I'm the owner. Like I say, I'll probably be busting tables, or I'll probably be the one dressed in rags, like, you wouldn't know. So, like I say, that is kind of how I move. Like, I would move, like, so low-key to where you won't really notice me, quote-unquote. But I think it's deceptive if you're just, I'm just the wife, or I'm just the helpmate, or I'm just here to clean, but the whole time you're the landlord, So when they send you off with the money, okay, go pay rent, dear, and you leave as if you're paying rent, or maybe you don't leave and you just keep the money in your pocket. And then when you go out or call yourself hanging out with your husband, I'm sure he's treating, so he's taking you out, because you're just the helpmate. So he's taking you out, and the whole time you're the landlord. That's it, or the whole time you're the owner, and then they don't know. That's very deceptive. Yeah. Only because it's like, what else are you hiding? And like I said, it's interesting. Like I said, to me, I think that's a good move, but it's deceptive if you're married. I mean, because you'll think like, well, that's none of his business if you don't it, but it's still kind of strange. Like because it's like, are you living in his house? Because he's under the impression you're living in my house, even though I'm not saying that that's how men move. Like, okay, you're in my house. This is quote unquote my house, but that's deceptive. Anyway, I hope all are well. Hope all are safe.